My father-in-law spat in my face in front of my wife and screamed that I was dead weight in this family, all because I refused to sacrifice my future for her brother. But he had no idea what I was actually building behind the scenes. My name is Matthew KLEIN. I'm 34 years old, and if you met me today, you might assume I've always had it together. Great job, nice house, stable marriage. But none of that came easy. I grew up in a small town in Iowa where we measured wealth by how long your truck ran before stalling. My mom was a school secretary, and my dad worked night shifts in a factory. They were good people, honest, hardworking, broke. I learned early that if I wanted more, I'd have to earn it myself. By the time I was 15, I had 3 side hustles and an obsession with financial independence. That drive never left me. I worked 2 jobs through college and taught myself about real estate on the side. By 28, I bought my first rental. At 30, I married my wife, Claire. Claire was different. She was kind, intelligent, and had this calm way of seeing the world. I admired her sense of balance, especially since her family was the complete opposite. Her father, Walter, was a force of nature, loud, opinionated, and always convinced he was the smartest guy in the room. Her younger brother, Jesse, was the golden child who never faced consequences. He'd dropped out of college, started, and quit about 6 businesses, and once borrowed Claire's car without asking and crashed it. Walter still blamed the brakes. I tried to play the role of the supportive son-in-law, smiled through the backhanded compliments at family dinners, bit my tongue when Jesse made snide jokes about my budget lifestyle because I didn't drive a flashy car or throw money around. Claire saw it too, but she kept the peace. "They're just old-fashioned," she'd say. Still, I thought that if I just kept showing up, proving I wasn't some leech or control freak, they'd come around. I mean, how could they not respect a man who pulled himself out of nothing and built a life with their daughter? But respect, I learned, isn't given in that family. It's extracted. And when Claire and I started house hunting together, that's when things really cracked open. We had been saving for years, every dollar accounted for, every step deliberate. We were finally ready to buy our dream home together. It was supposed to be the beginning of our new chapter. Then Walter dropped his bombshell. "If you're going to marry into this family and buy a house with Claire, the least you can do is put Jesse on the mortgage, too." I thought he was joking. I laughed. He wasn't. That single moment lit the match. And everything I thought I knew about Claire's family, and Claire herself, was about to be tested. I wish I could say I shut it down right there. That I looked Walter in the eye and said, "Absolutely not." But I didn't. I froze. We were sitting at their kitchen table, Claire beside me, her hand resting lightly on mine. Walter stood across from us, arms crossed, eyes locked on me like a predator waiting to pounce. "You've got the credit, don't you?" he said. "What's the big deal? Jesse's family. Blood. That's what matters." I looked to Claire, expecting her to laugh it off, to say, "Dad, that's ridiculous." But she didn't. She just said, "Maybe we could help him? A little?" That was the first time I felt the floor shift under me. I tried to explain, rationally, calmly, that adding someone to a mortgage is a massive responsibility. Jesse had no credit, no job history, and honestly, no accountability. If something went wrong, we would be on the hook. Walter didn't want a discussion. He wanted obedience. "Unbelievable," he scoffed. "All these years pretending you were a provider, a man. Turns out you're just another selfish, small-minded coward." That word, coward, echoed in my head for days. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just left. But it didn't stop there. At a family barbecue a week later, Jesse strutted around like he already owned the place, told Claire's cousins he'd be co-signing the new house. When I pulled him aside to confront him, he gave me that smug, lazy grin and said, "Come on, man, don't screw this up for Claire. You know she wants to help me." It was like I had stepped into a parallel universe, where my years of work, savings, and planning meant nothing, and Jesse's freeloading was somehow noble. Claire and I fought that night, not yelling, not slamming doors. That would have been easier. It was worse. She looked at me like I'd disappointed her, like my reluctance to help her brother said something about who I was as a man. "You always talk about building a legacy," she said. "Why not bring Jesse into that?" I couldn't believe it. I had spent my entire adult life building a foundation, not just for me, but for our future family. And now I was the bad guy because I didn't want to sacrifice that for someone who'd never lifted a finger. The final humiliation came the next Sunday. Walter invited us to dinner under the guise of sorting things out. Instead, he stood up midway through the meal and made a toast. "To Jesse," he said, lifting his glass. "Finally getting what he deserves. A fresh start." Everyone clapped. Claire forced a smile. I sat there, stunned. That's when Walter leaned in and whispered, just loud enough for everyone to hear. "Don't worry, Matt. You'll still get to live there too. Jesse's a generous guy." The table erupted in laughter. And I realized something chilling. They didn't want me in the family. They wanted my stability, without me. I didn't sleep much after that dinner. My mind kept looping through that toast, Jesse's smug face, and Claire's silence. I felt like a guest actor in a play where everyone had already rehearsed a version of my life, one where I was just the funding. But here's the thing about me. I don't do ultimatums. I don't explode. I build quietly. While they were laughing, I was planning. The next morning, I called my agent and told her we were pressing pause on the house search. I opened a new account. I locked down everything in my name, credit lines, property, savings. I didn't tell Claire, not yet. I needed to see something first. A month passed. Tension hung around our house like fog. Claire kept asking when we'd pick up the house hunt again. I told her I was reassessing. I could see the doubt in her eyes, like she didn't recognize the man she married anymore. Then Walter called and dropped the final card. "We found a place," he said. "Nice little ranch outside town. Perfect for you three." "You found a place?" "We had a family meeting. Claire thinks it's the one. Jesse already saw it." That word, family meeting, made my blood run cold. I hadn't been invited. But I played along. "Send me the listing." It was a 3-bedroom, overpriced, and in a neighborhood I'd never consider. But it was in my name Claire wanted the mortgage approved, and Walter made that clear. "We'll put Jesse and Claire on the deed," he said, "but you can handle the paperwork. That way it's clean." Something snapped inside me then, not with rage, but with clarity. They weren't asking. They were distributing me. So I made my move. A week later, I invited the entire family to brunch, my treat. I rented out the rooftop of a local venue, set the tables like a celebration. Mimosas, florals, the works. They showed up all smiles, probably assuming I was finally caving. Walter clapped me on the back and said, "Didn't expect you to come around." "You made the right choice, son." I smiled. Claire looked cautiously hopeful. Then I stood up, cleared my throat, and said, "I just wanted to say thank you for showing me what family really means." They clinked glasses. Jesse leaned back, already cocky. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. "This," I said, holding it up, "is the deed to a property I bought 2 weeks ago. Cash." The table went still. "It's a duplex, investment grade, 1 unit for Claire and me, the other for rental income, fully in my name." Walter's face darkened. Claire looked stunned. Why, didn't you tell me? She whispered. Because I needed to know where everyone really stood. Then I turned to Walter. And Jesse? He won't be on the mortgage, or the deed, or anywhere near our finances again. That's when Walter lunged, literally, shoved his chair back, and came at me across the table, yelling, "You arrogant little punk! You think you're better than us?" Security had to pull him off me in front of the whole restaurant. The brunch ended in chaos. But I walked out calm, because for the first time I wasn't playing their game. The fallout started immediately. Claire didn't come home with me that night. She left the brunch in tears, humiliated and confused. I got a text around midnight. "I need space. I don't even know who you are right now." For days, the house was silent. No sound of her humming in the kitchen, no clinking of her teacups, just a yawning quiet that reminded me how fragile peace can be, and how lonely standing your ground can feel. Walter tried calling me, twice. Left 2 seething voicemails filled with profanity and "how dare yous." Then he started messaging Claire nonstop. The guilt campaign began immediately. "You married a snake," he told her. "He's trying to break this family apart." Claire didn't reply to him either. She was trying to process her own heartbreak. I knew she felt torn, between loyalty and logic. She loved her family. But she also knew, deep down, that everything I said was true. That Jesse was a parasite. That Walter only respected power, not integrity. 3 days later, she came home. No suitcase, no apology. Just a woman standing in the doorway, eyes red, voice small. "Tell me why you didn't trust me with the plan." I poured us both some tea, sat her down, and I told her everything. From the moment her dad first cornered me to the instant I decided I had to act, not ask. I told her how I wanted to believe she'd back me, but I wasn't sure anymore. How I didn't want to trap her between the man she loved and the family she couldn't change. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You're right. I've been trying to keep peace with people who thrive on chaos, and I let them chip away at your dignity. I'm sorry." It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And in that moment, I knew we still had something worth saving. We made a plan, together this time. Claire set boundaries with her family, told them we weren't their financial crutch, and that Jesse needed to find his own way. Walter exploded again, of course, but this time she didn't flinch. She blocked his number. Jesse sent a last-ditch message begging for a bridge loan. We didn't even respond. In the weeks that followed, things got quieter, more still, but also clearer. We moved into the duplex, side by side, and for the first time it felt like our home. No strings, no power plays, just us, rebuilding trust from a foundation of truth. Sometimes, at night, Claire stares out our little kitchen window, hands wrapped around a mug, and says softly, "You were protecting us, even when I didn't see it." And I was. Not just from her family, but from the lie that love means giving until there's nothing left of yourself. Looking back now, I realize the biggest lesson wasn't about mortgages, or boundaries, or even Jesse. It was about value, the kind you can't put a price on. For most of my life, I believed that if I worked hard enough, if I built a stable life, people would naturally respect it. That integrity would speak for itself. But what I learned the hard way is that some people don't see value. They extract it. They leech off the people who've done the work and try to rewrite the story to center themselves. And sometimes, those people are the ones closest to you. I didn't fight back with yelling or ultimatums. I didn't stoop to their level. I built something stronger, quietly, intentionally. And in the end, I let my actions do the talking. It wasn't easy, I lost the illusion of family harmony. I went through sleepless nights wondering if I'd lose my marriage. But in that furnace, the truth came out. And so did the strength I didn't know we had as a couple. Claire and I are still healing, still learning how to protect what we're building without isolating ourselves. But the foundation we're standing on now? It's real. It's solid. And no one else's entitlement can shake it. I've since bought 2 more properties. Not because I need to prove anything, but because I believe in legacy. A real legacy. One that doesn't come from handouts, but from hard-earned wisdom. One I'll pass on one day, not just through deeds or equity, but through stories like this. If you're watching this and you're in a similar position, maybe you've been gaslit by people who claim to love you. Maybe you've been guilted into carrying others who never learned to walk. Hear me when I say this. You're not selfish for protecting what you've built. You're not cruel for setting boundaries with people who refuse to grow. And most importantly, you don't owe anyone your peace just because they share your blood. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is quietly remove yourself from the table and build your own sturdier one, brick by brick. Walter hasn't spoken to us in months. Jesse's off chasing his next venture, last I heard. But I don't keep tabs on them anymore. They'll write their own endings. As for me, I'm still here, still building. And this time I'm doing it on my own terms, with someone by my side who finally understands the cost of strength. Thank you for listening to my story. If this hit home for you, just know you're not alone. You're not the villain for saying no. You're the author of your own peace. And that's worth more than anything they tried to take.